here for a reason, not for one lesson, but for the complete transformation. Before we begin, let me tell you something. Every lesson you're about to hear, I paid for it. In blood, in silence, in war. Over the next 58 minutes, I'll show you how to master your emotions when the world tries to break you. How to think 3 moves ahead while they're still reacting. How to walk alone and build an empire in silence. This isn't entertainment. This is transformation. So ask yourself, are you ready to become a legend? Because once you start, there's no going back. You want to know why most men stay weak? They feel too much. They talk too much. They cry over things that don't matter. They react over and over again until life knocks them flat. But not me. I've walked through war. I've buried brothers. I've looked death in the face and whispered, "Not today." And I did it without emotion. Because emotion is what they use to control you, to bait you, to destroy you. So listen to me now. If you want to build something that lasts, if you want power, respect, legacy, then you must stop being emotional. You must learn to think like me, Thomas Shelby. Let's get something straight. You don't need to be the biggest man in the room. You don't need to shout or fight or prove anything to anyone. You only need one thing: control. Control of your mind, control of your face, control of your heartbeat. That's what makes you dangerous. Not muscle, not money. Control. I've stood in front of men who could break me in half, and they blinked first, because I was colder. I didn't flinch. I didn't fear. And in that silence, they felt it. They felt the storm I kept inside. You ever watch a man lose it? Screaming, punching walls, acting like a beast, trying to prove he's not weak? I've seen it 1,000 times, and every time it ends the same way. Broken, embarrassed, defeated. The emotional man is predictable, and the predictable man is easy to destroy. You say something cruel, he reacts. You insult his pride, he explodes. You give him bad news, he falls apart. That's not power, that's slavery. Slavery to impulse, slavery to pain, slavery to the opinions of others. Me? You could insult me to my face, and I'll light a cigarette, tilt my head, smile, because I know something you don't. I control the game. And you're still playing checkers while I'm flipping the board. There are 2 kinds of war. The one with bullets, and the one in your head. The second one, harder to survive. When I came back from France, I had nothing but medals I didn't ask for, and nightmares I couldn't kill. Every sound felt like an explosion. Every shadow, a ghost. But did I collapse? Did I cry to a therapist? I built something. I focused the rage. I turned trauma into fuel. And that's what you must do. You don't run from pain. You don't wallow in it. You use it. You sharpen it into a blade. And then you cut through everything that stands in your way. Let me give you a secret. Your face, it's your mask, your weapon, your fortress. Never let the world read you. I've sat across tables from killers, kings and cowards, and I let them think what they wanted, because I showed them nothing. No fear, no excitement, no weakness. And when they blinked, when they shifted in their chairs, I knew I'd already won. Control your face, lad, and you control the room. Smile only when it's calculated. Frown only when you mean to intimidate. Otherwise, stone. Let the world wonder. Let them guess. Mystery is power, and silence is lethal. Let me ask you, what do you serve? Pleasure, comfort, distraction? Or do you serve discipline? Because me, I wake up at dawn. I drink my whiskey only when I've earned it. I don't chase thrills, I build empires. Discipline is not a punishment. It's your shield. It's your sword. It's your religion. If you can control your impulses, you become untouchable. While the other men waste time chasing women, likes, parties, you're building. And in 5 years, you'll be on top. And they'll still be chasing dopamine like dogs. There was a time a man I trusted tried to take everything from me. Money, power, family. He thought I'd react, thought I'd lash out. But I didn't. I smiled, poured him a drink, and made him believe he was safe. Then when the time was right, I ended him. No emotion, no chaos. Just strategy. Revenge is best served cold, they say. And I serve it colder than ice. The world is not meant to make you happy. It's meant to test you, break you, expose your weakness. So stop looking for comfort. Start looking for pressure. Because diamonds, they're born from pressure. So are kings. Let pain become familiar. Let discipline become your home. Let discomfort forge your armor. You don't grow in soft places. You grow in war. That's why I sleep with one eye open. That's why I trust no one completely. And that's why I win. You think legacy is loud? It isn't. It's built in quiet hours, when no one's watching, when the world is sleeping, and you're still grinding. I didn't become Thomas Shelby by being flashy. I became him by bleeding in the shadows, thinking when others were partying, calculating while they were complaining. And now they speak my name with fear, with respect. Legacy isn't given, it's built. And it begins the moment you decide to stop living for today and start building for eternity. So what now? You've listened to my words. You've felt the edge in every line. But words mean nothing without action. So I ask you, are you done being emotional? Are you ready to think clearly? To move in silence? To walk like a man who fears nothing? Then here's your mission. Cut out one weakness today. Say nothing the next time you're triggered. Wake up an hour earlier and master something real. Train your body. Train your mind. And never explain yourself to anyone. Because from this day forward, you're not like them. You're not emotional. You're disciplined. You're calculated. You're dangerous. And if anyone doubts you, let them talk. Then show them who you've become. I don't raise my voice. I don't beg. I don't react. I plan. I move. I win. That's the Thomas Shelby method. Master it, and the world will kneel before your silence. Now subscribe. Rewatch this when you feel weak. And remember, you are no longer emotional. You are becoming a legend. That was just the beginning. Let's continue. You ever seen a ghost explain itself? Me neither. Because the most dangerous men don't explain. They vanish. They build themselves. When they return, no one recognizes them. I am Thomas Shelby, and today I will be your mentor. So listen until the end. This conversation may change your life. People are addicted to patterns. They understand noise, distraction, weakness. But when you go silent, when you move different, they panic. They question you because they can't label what they don't understand. And men like me, we don't fit into boxes. We break them. So if you're being doubted, mocked, or misunderstood, that means you're becoming rare. Rare things are never understood in the beginning. The moment you stop doing what they do, they turn on you. That's how the world works. You eat different. You think deeper. You speak less. And suddenly, you become a threat. Not because you hurt anyone, but because your growth exposes their laziness. Let them fear you. Because when they fear you, they leave you alone. And when they leave you alone, you get to build in peace. I've been misunderstood my whole life. They didn't understand the war I fought, the brothers I buried, the way I see the world like a battlefield, not a playground. And they never will. But I don't need them to understand. Because while they're trying to make sense of me, I'm moving past them. Power isn't about being accepted. It's about being unshakable in the face of doubt. Get used to being alone. At first they laugh. They call you obsessed. They say you changed. Of course you did. You were supposed to. That's the cycle. First they judge you, then they envy you. Finally they imitate you. I've seen it all my life. They hated my silence, then started copying my calm. They mocked my discipline, then begged me for advice. People don't really hate you. They hate what your discipline says about them. You remind them of what they're not doing. That's why they talk. That's why they point. But keep going. Because the moment they see success, everything changes. They always come back around. The ones who doubted you, insulted you, left you, they watch from a distance. And when they see you win, they suddenly remember you. I've seen men mock me for being too focused, too cold. Then later they come with compliments, apologies, even offers. But I never forget. Remember this. Every man who judges you for your grind will one day either respect you or regret not joining you. Let them talk now. They're just giving you time to build. Stop talking so much. When you speak less and listen more, you learn faster. I never told people what I was building. I showed them after it was done. That's how you hold power. So speak when it's strategic. The less they know, the more they fear. Look around you. Everyone's shouting. posting on social media, crying for attention. But not you. You keep your mouth shut. Silence isn't weakness, because in silence you build, you plan, you grow. And when you emerge, you're unrecognizable. Your silence is your shield, and your results will be your voice. There was a time I used to react. I used to argue, prove my point. Then I learned, power doesn't yell, it whispers. Now, I stay silent. Not because I'm weak, but because I'm working. Because I know the moment I start talking, I stop working. So I wait. I let my silence haunt them. Let it echo louder than their noise. That's the move. That's the code. Stay silent. Stay focused. Speak only when it shifts the ground beneath their feet. You don't owe anyone your time. They weren't there when you bled. They didn't carry your pain. So stop trying to make them understand. You owe them nothing. No explanations, no forgiveness. They want access to what they didn't help you build. Don't give it. Protect your path. When you're focused, the wrong people feel neglected. Let them. Their opinions are not your responsibility. Your focus is. And every minute spent trying to be understood is a minute stolen from your future. The moment you level up, they demand to know why you left them behind. But they weren't with you when it was cold, when it was dark, when it was silent. So don't explain yourself. You don't owe them anything. You owe yourself greatness. Let them feel confused. Let them spin stories. You're not here to feed their narrative. Don't apologize for focusing on yourself. You're not selfish. They say you've changed. That means you're growing. And growth demands sacrifice. If they don't understand that, they were never meant to be in your circle. Let them fall off. Let them misunderstand. You weren't born to please. You don't owe them access. You don't owe them updates. Focus on yourself. No one will ever truly understand what you're doing. And that's okay. It's not their vision. It's yours. It's not their war. It's yours. Just remember, they don't need to understand your journey. They only need to see the results. They won't get why you say no to parties, why you wake before dawn, why you train, build, grind without applause. That's fine, because you don't need their noise. You need your mission. Stay on the path, even if no one claps. Especially if no one claps. Because when you reach the top, and they all show up, you'll know who really mattered. Just remember, this is your life, your pain, your process. No one else is meant to understand it. People want the reward without the scars. But every scar you carry, that's proof you didn't quit. Proof you kept going when they would have folded. So let them talk. Let them guess. Your journey was never theirs to comprehend. It was always yours to finish. There will come a time when your silence becomes louder than their opinions, when your results shut every mouth that once doubted you. But to reach that point, you have to focus, obsessively, relentlessly. Ignore the noise, ignore the critics. Let them talk while you build. Because the day will come when they won't recognize you, and that's the point. You didn't evolve to be seen. You evolved to dominate. Every day they'll try to distract you, to pull you back into mediocrity. Don't fall for it. Turn the volume down on the world and up on your discipline. You don't need to silence them. You need to outlast them. Let their gossip echo while you grind. Let their judgment sharpen your edge. While they argue, you act. While they watch, you win. This is the code. Head down, eyes forward. Cut through distraction like a blade. Focus like your future depends on it. Because it does. So what now? You listen to my story. But will you apply the lessons? Will you implement what you learned? If you will, write it in the comments. Write what will be your first decision after this video. And if you need more motivation, you know where to find it. In this channel. Now go. Build a better routine. Make better choices. Focus on your life and become a legend. Now I'll teach you strategy, and strategy changes everything. Most men fight like animals. They bark, they bite, they bleed. But me, I don't fight. I plan. I move in silence. And when I strike, it's already too late. If you want power, if you want to win, you must stop thinking like a fighter and start thinking like a strategist. That's how I survived war. That's how I built an empire. And that's how I became Thomas Shelby. Let me teach you something. The man who moves first usually dies first. But the man who waits, who watches, he owns the board. I've sat in rooms with men twice as strong, 3 times as loud. Did I speak first? No. Did I act first? Never. I let them play their hands. I let them believe they were in control. Then when the time was right, I flipped the table. Strategy is waiting with a loaded gun while they swing sticks. You want to win? Start listening more than you talk. Every word a man says is a crack in his armor. Most men expose themselves because they need to be seen. Not me. I learn. I study. I collect every weakness, every insecurity, every habit. So when I move, I don't just beat them. I destroy them from within. Not with strength, with knowledge. Sometimes, to win the war, you lose a battle on purpose. I've walked away from money, from deals, from people. Not because I couldn't win, but because I was playing a bigger game. Weak men chase every opportunity. Smart men, they let the small fish swim by because they're hunting sharks. Strategy means playing long when others are busy trying to impress the moment. And in the end, You'll own the board while they drown in their ego. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who tried to bribe one of my own. He thought he had power. He thought he had leverage. I said nothing. I let him think he was winning. I invited him to my club, sat him down, smiled. Then I had him surrounded, without him even realizing it. He was in a barrel, and I was lighting the fuse. That strategy. Make them feel safe, then take everything. You can't be strategic when you're emotional. You can't think clearly when you're busy proving yourself. Control is everything. You get insulted, smile. They provoke you. Stay silent, because your silence terrifies them. The colder you get, the more power you hold. That's how I win. Not with force, but with frost. The man who controls his emotions controls the outcome. So now you understand. You don't win by being strong. You win by being smarter. You win by waiting, watching, learning, then moving like a ghost when they least expect it. So, here's what you do. Stay silent today. Let others reveal their hand. Write down the patterns of those around you. Let one opportunity go. And wait for the bigger one. Because from this day on, you're not just a man. You're a player, a tactician. And your legacy, it begins with your next move. The easy part is over. Now comes the real work. Are you still listening? How many people do you need around you to feel comfortable? 2? 5? 10? Maybe you think a team can achieve greatness, but have you tried walking alone? Working on your goals, grinding without distraction. Today, let me teach you something that will help you in this journey. The power of walking alone. I am Thomas Shelby, and tonight, I'll teach you why the lone man is the most dangerous man alive. Listen carefully. This lesson will not be repeated. Every man speaks of greatness. They want the throne, the respect, the empire. But when the silence comes, when the room empties, they break. Because greatness has a cost most men can't afford. And that cost is loneliness. You see, power demands distance. You cannot carry every friend. You cannot explain every choice. If you try, you stay small. But when you step away, when you walk alone, you begin to see the truth. You don't need applause. You don't need understanding. You need control. And control is expensive. It means empty nights, unanswered calls, and the weight of walking without a hand to hold. But That is the currency of leadership. The man who walks alone pays today in solitude, so tomorrow he can stand where no one else can reach. That is why the lonely man is always the powerful man. A man surrounded by noise grows weak. The crowd speaks, he listens. They move, he follows. They laugh, he joins. And soon he becomes one of them. Ordinary, replaceable, silent in his dependence. But solitude is a furnace. When you're alone, you confront yourself. You hear your thoughts with no distractions, no voices to drown them out. That's where clarity is born. That's where discipline takes root. You rise before dawn because no one is there to stop you. You sharpen your mind because no one else is thinking for you. You grow harder, colder, unshakable. I learned in the war, when you're alone, you adapt or you die. And in that silence, in that pressure, I found strength no crowd could ever give me. Alone, I became steel. Alone, I became dangerous. That is the gift solitude gives. It builds men into weapons. Most men cling to the crowd because it feels safe. Safety in numbers, they tell themselves. They laugh together, waste time together, fail together. They think belonging makes them strong. But the truth? The crowd is a cage. It doesn't protect you. It keeps you average. In the crowd, you copy their habits. You eat what they eat. You chase what they chase. You believe what they believe. You trade your vision for their approval. And the more you stay, the more invisible you become. But a man who steps away from the herd, he becomes rare. Rare men aren't understood. They're feared. The crowd will mock you, call you arrogant, call you lost. But that's the sign you're breaking free. Remember this. No great empire was built inside the comfort of the crowd. The path to power is walked alone, away from the herd, against the noise. Step away, and you'll see who they really are. When you stop answering every call, when you stop showing up to every table, the truth reveals itself. Friends who vanish were never friends. Family who mocks your silence never wanted you to rise. Distance is the filter. It strips away the noise and shows you who's loyal, who's jealous, and who's feeding on your energy. The ones who disappear, let them. They were only there for comfort, not for war. The ones who whisper behind your back, let them. Their words betray their weakness. I've buried brothers. I've lost friends. And what I learned is this: the fewer voices you have around you, the sharper your own voice becomes. Distance doesn't make you weaker. It makes you free. And freedom is the first step to real power. Walking alone will break you before it builds you. The nights are heavy, the silence is sharp, and the weight of solitude crushes most men. That's why they run back to the crowd, to the noise, to the comfort of weakness. But if you endure the pain, it becomes your forge. Loneliness, grief, betrayal, they harden you. They strip away softness and leave only steel. Every scar you carry is proof that the fire didn't burn you. It forged you. That's why pain is not your enemy. Pain is your blacksmith. And if you let it shape you, you'll come out unbreakable. A man who needs nothing cannot be controlled. That's the law of power. The world feeds on weakness, on men who crave approval, attention, or comfort. They dangle rewards in front of you, and you bend. They threaten to take them away, and you break. But when you walk alone, when you build without begging, something changes. They can't tempt you. They can't scare you. They can't use loneliness as a weapon, because you've already mastered it. And that terrifies them. I've sat across men with money, with soldiers, with influence. They tried to pull strings on me, the way they do with everyone else. But the strings snapped, because I wasn't attached to anything they could offer. And in that moment, they understood. Independence is respect, not requested, not demanded, earned by proving you can stand alone. Walking alone doesn't mean you'll always be alone. It means you're strong enough to walk without a hand to hold, without a voice to guide you. Weak men rush to find company. Strong men prove they don't need it. When you master solitude, allies appear. Not the ones who laugh at your silence, not the ones who leave when you grow, but the rare few who respect your discipline. And those men, those rare allies, are worth more than 100 followers. Understand this. You don't build an empire by clinging to company. You build it by carving a path alone and letting others decide whether they're strong enough to join you. First you walk alone. Then when you've proven your strength, the right people walk with you. But you never depend on them, because you built your power before they arrived. I've walked into rooms full of enemies, alone, and still they hesitated. Because a man who walks alone doesn't follow rules. He doesn't need approval. He doesn't ask permission. That makes him dangerous. The lone wolf doesn't howl for the pack. He hunts in silence. He chooses his moment. He takes what he wants. That is his code. Independence, patience, precision. Most men crumble without company, but the lone wolf thrives in it. You see, the man who moves without allies is feared more than the man who hides behind an army. Because when you can't be cornered, when you answer to no one, you can strike at any time, and they never see it coming. That's why I built my life on this principle. Better to be a lone wolf with teeth than a sheep surrounded by shepherds. Every empire begins with one man who dares to walk a road no one else will take. Alone, mocked, doubted. That's how legends start. Not with cheers, but with silence. The crowd won't see your vision. They won't understand your sacrifices. They'll laugh while you bleed in the shadows. But one day, when the dust settles, when the walls you built stand tall, they will see, and they will realize you were never lost. You were building a path they couldn't imagine. Legacy belongs to the man who endures the lonely road. The footsteps you take today in silence will become the trail others follow tomorrow. And when they do, they'll whisper your name with respect, with fear, with awe. Remember this: walking alone is not the end. beginning of everything. That is the price of greatness. That is the mark of a legend. So now, you've heard the code. You understand the price. Walking alone is not easy. It will break you, test you, isolate you. But if you endure, it will turn you into something the world cannot touch. One day, they'll see your success and pretend they always believed. They'll follow the path you carved in silence. They'll whisper your name as if it was destiny. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't destiny. It was choice. Your choice to walk where no one else would. So ask yourself now, will you keep hiding in the comfort of the crowd? Or will you step into the silence, endure the solitude, and claim the strength that only walking alone can give? Decide, act, build, and when the world finally notices you, it will already be too late. Because by then, you won't just be a man, you'll be a legend. The next chapter begins now. Time for the next rule. Tell me who controls you. Your hunger, your comfort, the people around you, or do you control yourself? Most men don't. They let the bed decide their mornings. They let their cravings drag them by the throat. They say yes to everything until nothing is left for themselves. That is why they stay weak. Not because they lack strength, but because they lack control. I am Thomas Shelby. And tonight, I'll teach you the truth about self-control that no one else will say. Learn it, and you'll rise above every man you know. Ignore it, and you'll die as their equal. So listen carefully. This lesson begins the moment you open your eyes. The world doesn't test you at noon. It doesn't test you when you're ready or when you've had your coffee. It tests you the moment you open your eyes. Because the way you begin a day decides everything else. Most men lose before they even rise. They hit the snooze button, or they reach for their phone, scroll through social media, and let the world dictate their mind before they've even stood up. But me, when I wake up, no delay, no second guess, because hesitation is a disease, and I refuse to let it spread into my day. You either kill hesitation in the morning, or it kills you in the evening. You think greatness is built in big moments. Wrong. It's built in the mornings, when nobody sees you. When discipline feels like a blade pressed against your throat. When every cell in your body wants sleep, and you say, no. The man who conquers his morning conquers the day. And the man who conquers enough days conquers his life. So tomorrow when you wake, remember this. Will you be a slave to your bed or a soldier who rises? The loudest men, they never last. They make big declarations. They shout their goals. They announce their dreams to anyone who'll listen. But the moment it gets difficult, they vanish. Because their words were just smoke. Power isn't built in what you say out loud. It's built in the oaths you keep when no one is watching. A private promise is a dangerous thing. Because there's no applause when you keep it. No punishment when you break it. It's just you, facing yourself. When I make a vow in silence, I treat it like my life depends on it. If I say I'll rise before dawn, I rise. Because a man who cannot trust himself cannot be trusted by anyone. Most men fall apart in private. They'll tell the world they're disciplined. They'll post about strength while folding when no one's looking. They think it doesn't matter because no one sees. But it matters. I don't care about promises made in front of crowds. I care about the ones whispered, the ones you write in your head before you sleep. So here's your test. Don't announce your goals. Make one oath to yourself today. Something small. And keep it. Desire is easy. Every man wants more. More money, more power, more women, more recognition. But hunger without discipline makes you a dog chasing scraps. The truth is this: anyone can crave, but few can control the craving. I've sat in smoke-filled rooms, listening to men who couldn't stop talking about what they wanted. They wanted fast money, fast cars, fast victories. And every single one of them lost. Because hunger without a leash turns men reckless. But I let desire sharpen me, not drive me, because when you control your hunger, you control your timing. And timing decides everything. You think restraint is weakness? No. Restraint is when you look at what you want most, and you tell it to wait. Restraint is when the world dangles bait, and you don't bite, because you know what's better than a quick meal. A feast earned at the right time. So leash your desire. Train it like a weapon. Make it obey you, not the other way around. Most men fail, not because the task is impossible, but because they make it harder than it has to be. They rely on willpower alone, and willpower is a candle in the wind. It dies. I don't trust willpower, I trust structure. If I want to wake early, I don't keep the bottle close to my bed. If I want to stay sharp, I don't surround myself with fools. If I want to win, I build my environment so the winning move is the easiest move. That's the secret no one tells you. Discipline isn't about suffering endlessly. It's about removing friction, clearing the path, stacking the odds in your favor before the battle even begins. So what's the lesson? Don't make the hard thing harder. Lay out your clothes before the morning. Cut off temptations at the root so you don't need to wrestle with them later. The hard thing only breaks you if you face it unprepared. But if you strip the nonsense away, you'll find the task is not so heavy. And once it's light, you can repeat it again and again until it shapes you into something unbreakable. Control the field and you control the fight. Make the hard thing easy and you'll do what others won't. And that is how you win without struggle. Every yes is a no to something else. People don't understand the cost of their words. They hand out yes like it's free. Yes, I'll come. Yes, I'll help. Yes, I'll waste my time on this. But every yes has a price. Every yes bleeds your time, your focus, your energy. And once it's gone, you don't get it back. The weak man doesn't see the cost. He says yes to everything until he's drowning in obligations, pulled in 1,000 directions. And at the end of the day, he looks in the mirror and realizes he never said yes to himself. You see, I choose carefully. I say yes to what builds me, yes to what brings me closer to the empire I want. And everything else, I don't care. Power is not in saying yes. Power is in saying no. No to wasted time. So before you agree to something, weigh the cost. Ask yourself, what do I lose if I say yes? If the price is your future, your focus, your strength, then don't pay it. Because the man who learns to say no is the man whose yes actually means something. Men think they're strong because they can resist temptation. They keep the bottle in the house and brag about not drinking it. They keep the distraction close and say, "I can handle it." That's not strength. That's arrogance. And arrogance kills more men than bullets. If the drink makes you weak, pour it out. If the woman ruins your focus, cut her off. If the friends drag you down, leave them behind. That's not cruelty. That's survival. You don't plant roses in poisoned soil, yeah? So why plant your life in toxic ground? When I build, I clear the field first. I cut out threats before they rise, because environment decides outcome more than effort ever will. A man can be disciplined, but if he sleeps in chaos, he wakes in chains. You don't rise above your surroundings, you sink to them. So here's the law. Don't keep poison nearby and pretend you're strong. Just remove the poison, because the moment you clear the field, the battle gets easier. The temptations vanish, the focus comes back, and suddenly, winning feels natural. So now, legend, you've learned the first laws of self-control, but this is only the beginning. Because the real test comes next. When pain, time, and discipline cut deeper. If you're ready for part 2, click on the next video, watch, learn, and finish what you've started. Now we move forward. Pay attention. So, you finished the first part. Good. Most people never make it this far. They hear the first lessons, they nod their heads, then they crawl back to mediocrity. But not you. You're still here. Now listen closely, because the next laws of self-control are the tools that will turn you into a legend. I am Thomas Shelby, and if you learn these lessons, you won't just control yourself, you'll control your future. So sit back, pay attention, because this is where the real transformation begins. I've seen men with talent fail because they thought they had forever, and I've seen weaker men rise because they put the knife of time to their throat and forced themselves to act. Don't trust someday, don't trust soon. Those are words of the dead. Set the clock, make it a weapon, let it cut into your comfort until you move. When you fear the deadline more than you fear failure, you finally act, and action, no matter how small, builds momentum. So if you want discipline, don't wait for inspiration, mark the hour, make the clock your executioner. Because when time hangs over you, you stop wasting it, you start living it. You know you can fail because you think time is endless. You say, "I'll do it tomorrow, I'll start next week," and before you know it, the years are gone, and so are your chances. The clock doesn't forgive, it doesn't pause for your feelings. When I plan, I put time on the table. If I say a deal is done by midnight, it's done. If I give myself an hour, it's not a minute more. Deadlines sharpen men. Without them, you drift. With them, you bleed urgency into your work. Pressure rises, focus locks in, excuses die. We always hide from pain. We push it to the end of the day. We tell ourselves, "I'll get to it later," but later never comes. The weight grows heavier, the shadow grows darker. I learned long ago, if you want control, you meet pain head on, first, before anything else. In France, at the front, fear was always waiting. The silence before the shelling, the knowledge that death could drop at any moment. The weak ones tried to distract themselves, played cards, sang songs, pretended it wasn't coming. But when the first blast hit, they shattered. Me, I faced the truth. Pain is coming, I told myself, so I welcomed it. And when it arrived, it didn't break me, because I had already endured it in my mind. That's the law. If you start your day with pain, everything after feels lighter. You pay the tax early and the rest of the hours are yours. Do the hardest thing first. The call you're avoiding, the task you fear, the training that burns your lungs. Hit it head on, because once it's done, fear has nothing left to feed on. It shrinks and it dies. So tomorrow, before you eat, before you scroll, before you waste a second, find the hardest thing in your to-do list and do it. Because pain faced early becomes strength. Pain delayed becomes prison. Choose strength, always. Every man feels cravings, food, drink, pleasure, the easy escape. Most give in the moment it arrives, impulse hits and they obey to it. But the truth is this, cravings are not commands, they're just waves. Strong at first, then weaker, then gone. When I want something, I don't rush. I let it circle me, I watch it, and I wait 10 minutes. Because if a desire cannot survive 10 minutes, is it even worth obeying? The weak man obeys instantly. He eats when he feels hunger. He drinks when he feels thirst. He spends when he feels tempted. And before long, his life belongs to his desires. But the man who delays, even by minutes, learns something powerful. He learns that cravings fade, that he doesn't need to move every time his body asks, that his desire is not his master. It's not about denial, it's about delay. Stretch the space between impulse and action. That space is where freedom is. In business, I've seen men ruin themselves because they wanted quick profit. They couldn't wait. They grabbed at scraps, but I waited for the whole table. Patience gave me everything. So practice it. Next time you feel the pull, just pause. Set a clock. 10 minutes. If the craving still stands, maybe it deserves you. If it fades, you've won without lifting a hand. Self-control isn't about never wanting. It's about waiting long enough to see what really matters. Delay the feast, and you'll discover most feasts were never worth eating. Motivation is for children. It's a spark in the dark, gone before it lights the room. And yet, most men build their lives on it. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the rush, the mood, the fire in the chest. They are fools. Motivation doesn't stay. It vanishes the moment life gets heavy, the moment you're tired or hungry or cold. And if that's all you rely on, you'll collapse with it. You see, I don't move because I feel like it. I move because it's written, because my routine demands it. That's the difference. The weak man is a servant to his feelings. The disciplined man is a servant to his structure. I don't wake early because I'm motivated. I wake early because that's who I am. I don't train because I'm inspired. I train because it's carved into my day like stone. And when the storm comes, when life takes everything from you, you won't have motivation left. But if you've built the habit, if you've served the routine like a soldier, then you'll keep moving, even broken, even empty. That's why I don't trust motivation. It's a liar, a fake friend. It makes promises it can't keep. But discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, angry, or lost. It says, do it anyway. And that's where power is born. So stop chasing motivation. Stop waiting for the mood to strike. Write your orders, soldier. Build your structure and serve it no matter what. Because the man who obeys routine will always outlast the one who waits for inspiration. Why most men waste their lives competing sideways. They chase the neighbor, the colleague, the stranger on the street. They measure their worth in comparisons that mean nothing. Hey, the only man worth beating is yourself. Yesterday's version of you, that's your enemy. He's the one who wasted time. He's the one who hesitated. He's the one who quit. And if today's version doesn't beat him, then you've already lost. It doesn't take much. You don't need to leap mountains every morning. 1% is enough. One more push-up, one more page read, one more hour without distraction. Do it quietly. You don't need to announce it, because progress that's measured in noise is fragile. Progress built in silence will last. I didn't build an empire by racing every man in Birmingham. I built it by making sure that Thomas Shelby of today is smarter and stronger than Tommy of yesterday. Every day I carved away weakness, and years later they called me ruthless, but I was only consistent. That's the goal, my friend. Beat yourself, not them. Compete with yesterday until you are proud of the man you see in the mirror. So tomorrow, don't ask if you're better than the world. Ask if you're better than you were. If the answer is no, then you've wasted the day. If the answer is yes, even by a fraction, then you've won. Repeat it without distraction, and one day you'll look back and realize you've become unstoppable. You've heard the final laws of self-control. Now it's your turn to act. Rewatch this when you feel weak. Subscribe and stay ready for the next lesson. Because the moment you master yourself, you become unstoppable. You've made it to the end of this video. That already puts you ahead of most men. But here's the question. What will you do with what you've learned? Because knowledge without action is just noise.